Hello, what's going on YouTube? How's it going, companions? It's BigHatBrock here, coming back with another book video. Today I'm going to talk about the books I read in the first quarter of 2025. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, been kind of slacking a little bit. I've started a bunch of books, but I haven't finished them. I haven't been as consistent with my reading. Near the end of 2024, like the last week or so of 2024, I finished a book and then I was like, all right, we'll wait until the new year to start the next one, right? That'll be a good starting point. So then like a week goes by and then it was like in that week I lost my ability to read. Or just like I've had a really hard time like reading as of late. Now technically I'm still, well, not even technically, I am, I'm on schedule because typically I try to read, 12 to 14 books a year, and I've read 3, and I'm recording this in April. So, and I'm reading a book now, so hey, maybe if I finish that again, I'll have read 4 books in 4 months or so, but still, it just feels really weird. I've had a hard time, figuring out what I want to read and, keeping up with it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about what we haven't read, we're here to talk about what we have read. So without further ado, let's get into the first book I read in 2025. So the first book I read, it's actually the second time I read this. I have all the books sitting down here next to me. The first book I read was this book called Roadside Picnic. You see the cover there by Strugatsky, Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. It's a Russian novel, but has been translated into English and been, preserved over time and reprinted over time, which is good. It's quite an old novel. I can't remember. It doesn't say on here exactly how old it is. But this is the second time reading this. I can't remember why I was like, I really want to read Roadside Picnic again. And what this is essentially is aliens. It's like a first contact book, but also not. Essentially what happens is that aliens land on planet Earth and they're there for like a few days and then they leave without a trace. Well, not exactly a trace. They've left a ton of stuff behind. All these strange artifacts and things that humans don't understand. And the area that the aliens landed in are turned into, or people call them the zone or the zones. And there's all these strange occurrences and strange anomalies, like gravity is different. And I don't know, there's all kinds of hazards there. And it's essentially about this guy named Red who becomes a stalker, and the stalkers go into the zones, get artifacts, bring them back and sell them for money, and it's, exploring like what that world is like, and there's also some science involved and some philosophical stuff. There was a movie called Stalker, also Russian, pretty good, and then that inspired the Stalker video games, and probably, Fallout, so on and so forth. I would say it all started with this book. And it's a nice little light read and I really enjoy it, especially the second time around. I liked it a lot more. I'm just gonna put that down. The middle of the book is still kind of like the weakest point for me. My favorite parts are when they're actually in the zone, when they're actually trying to get the artifacts, and one artifact they bring back, they're praised as heroes for getting it, but then the one guy runs into some spider webs and mysteriously dies. And it also talks about how it's affecting dead people and the way we live, and is it right to use these artifacts? It's kind of like the name of it, Roadside Picnic, doesn't come in until later, which essentially is imagine if you and your friends just stopped on the side of the road somewhere, or in a forest, your favorite picnic spot. You ate your food, you had your party, and then you left. And even if you cleaned up as well as you could, let's say you didn't even clean up, you leave, and then to all the bugs in that area, they'll go to the crumbs you left and the beer bottles or the water bottles or whatever. And, to them, it's like, whoa, what is all this stuff, right? That's kind of like what it is. It's like, we don't know if the aliens left valuable artifacts. We don't know if it was good. We don't know if they were just dumping their trash. And we don't know if they would ever come back. But it's an interesting book. I recommend it if you enjoy science fiction and some philosophical stuff. And like I said, if you enjoy the Fallout games or Stalker games themselves, want to see somewhat of the origin, there you go. I recommend Roadside Picnic. All right, next up. Now, this is not. I did not read this whole thing. This is an omnibus. If you saw the books I wanted to read in 2025 video I put out earlier this year, I say I wanted to read this. This is the Lords of Nocturne, Salamander Omnibus, and the Warhammer 40k universe. There's like 3 books plus some side stories in here. I read the second one in the series, which the name of it is escaping me right now. You know what? I'm going to look in here real quick and get it for you. Okay, the name is Firedrake, and as I said before, I reread the first Salamanders novel last year, and I was like, wow, I really want to get back into the series. The series came out in the early 2000s, so, and, you know, just as fate would have it, they released this cool new omnibus for it, and I liked the second book, but I can't explain exactly what it was, but it was like, maybe I missed a certain piece of information, or maybe this piece wasn't conveyed that well, but it was just a really weird, like I was reading it, and in my head I was like, this is good, but for some reason I can't, like, stay consistent with it. It actually took me a lot to get to the end of it, and I will say that some of the, like, near the end of the book, there's a few, like, big reveals, and a few of them I was like, okay, that was pretty obvious. You definitely could have introduced that earlier in the book. Also, like, the first book, all of our characters are together, and, like, all their storylines, there's a very clear storyline that they're all working towards, and there's little branches off of that storyline, which is nice. Here, it's like everyone is separate, and eventually they do come back together, but it takes them so long to get back together. And I don't know, the main character, Dakir, D-A-K, like, it's a funny name. I probably just missed it, but I had no idea. Like, for most of the book, I'm like, why are you, I don't understand what any of this is accomplishing. And there's also a very vague setup. So, for example, the most of the book is about trying to rescue Chaplain Elysius. And the last time we see, at one point in the book, minor spoilers here, last time we see Chaplain Elysius, he's like getting ready to honor one of his fallen brothers on this hostile planet after a battle. So it's like, okay, cool. And then we meet these other group of characters, and then these group of characters are like, all right, our mission is to find Chaplain Elysius. He's vanished. And I was like, no, he didn't. He's doing the vigil. He's doing the thing for his homies. But then it was like, oh, he did vanish, and we have no idea how. And again, that gets revealed later. But it feels like it took way too long for the reveal to happen. Again, I was just so confused. And then finally we get it, and I'm like, okay, again, I feel like you could have just have a better setup to it, or have, like, more clues. I don't know, maybe I missed it. But again, it still wasn't bad. Again, I quite liked a lot of it, but there's something about it that was hard for me to keep up with. I had to commit a lot of energy to finish this book, but I did. I've only got one left in the Salamanders trilogy, plus those extra ones, and I still want to read the third one. I do not regret getting this one, especially since the copy I have, I don't know why I look, the copy I have of Salamanders sitting up there is pretty old, and I definitely needed a new one. So there's that. That was Firedrakes. All right, next up, and I'm all in on Warhammer 40k this year, I guess. Again, this is another omnibus. I didn't read this entire book, but we have the Eisenhorn omnibus online. I was looking at, like, what's the best place to start with Warhammer books, because I do love the world and I want to learn more about it. You know, learning more every time. But I'm like, is there like a beginning? Is there like a good place for starters? I kind of just jumped in, not really knowing much about it. But I am like, where should people start? And people recommended this Eisenhorn series. This is similar to that omnibus I just showed you. It's several books plus some side stories. And I read, the book starts with like a short story, and then there's one book, and then there's another short story. Then I'm getting into what I assume is the second book, full book of the series. Eisenhorn is the titular Eisenhorn, as we see on the front here. Pretty cool cover, by the way. He's kind of like, he's an inquisitor, but he's kind of like it's like a space detective, like murder mystery kind of thing. He's going from planet to planet investigating why there was this, attempted mass murder on a planet, and on the way he picks up all kinds of unique characters and faces like, demons and space monsters and treachery, right? Like, it's got all that. And this was another one that, well, the first half of it I really liked. In fact, there's one part that kind of brought me close to tears. I was like, well, that's actually pretty sad. That's actually good. But near the end of it, like, it kind of lost me, or like, I don't know, maybe I lost it, I don't know, but it just felt like I really liked what was going on in the first half, and then the second half I just wasn't with it. I don't know. Again, maybe again it's like I'm not used to reading these. There's a lot of words per page because I have to fit multiple books in one spine, one edition. And again, it was another one, like, it's not bad. Again, it just near the end it took me a little bit to push forward to get it done. But I adored the two side stories, and maybe because they're a little more short and concise and to the point. But the openings short story and then the short story after the first book, I loved both of those. So I'm excited to keep reading this. I don't know when I'll get back to it, but yeah, that was the third book I read in 2025. And so now that I'm sitting here, we've essentially caught up. I have 2 books I'm going to talk about, but there's even more books. Like I'm pointing, like someone can see my hand isn't even in the shot. I'm pointing over here. There's even more books on my dresser that I keep next to my bed to kind of like, right before I go to bed, I'd grab a book, start reading. There's like 2 or 3 on there that they have a bookmark in I just haven't gone back to. I was trying to read like the Assassin's Creed books. I started the second one, which is the book for the second game, but in the actual series of novels, it's where you're supposed to start. It's kind of confusing, but started reading that, but couldn't stay with it. So then there's like some other ones over there. But I'll go with the 2 that I have actually been reading every night. The first one is it's called Hitman. This is Bret the Hitman Hart, My Life in the Cartoon World of Wrestling. This is about professional wrestler. Well, he's retired. Bret the Hitman Hart. His story. Now this is one big book. I tell you what. Okay, the man, to all the accounts I can hear, Bret Hart has a great memory. Also, he recorded his journey on audio diary, so he remembers a lot of details. So it's a long one, and there's a lot to it, which I do enjoy. And so far, I'm really enjoying it. And just like the world of professional wrestling is like, it's like all the travel and all the different characters he runs into. I love. There's a few details that are pretty weird. I think he could have just left out, like we didn't need to know. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one so far. Excited to finish reading it. Well, finish. I'm not even like halfway through. This one's a heckin' chonker. You know what I'm saying? The only thing about it is that I like Bret Hart. I like him a lot. I think he's pretty cool. He's one of the most important people in the history ever of professional wrestling, and just like seems like a real badass dude. The only thing about the book is it's kind of like his delivery is a little dull, not dull, but dull, and that just kind of comes with it. I mean, he's had so much tragedy in his life and gone through so many hard things that like it does seem like, well, what's so happy about this? But there are a few times where it feels like he's just like vomiting the information out onto the page with no rhyme or reason or setup, just like, and no clever delivery. But that's all part of the honesty, I guess, of Bret Hart. And I am enjoying it, and I'm excited to keep reading it. Okay, and then the other book I'm trying to get through, but I got it. I said I was going to read it, and I keep like slacking on it. This would be Mbessa, Chosen of the Wolf. This is a Arcane League of Legends tie-in book. This is about the character Mbessa. You can see her there. Pretty good cover. It's like not an origin story, but just some background information on her before her appearance in the show Arcane, and also about her family and all of that. And I'm only like 10 pages into it, well, a little bit more than 10, probably more like 40 pages into it. And I said, like the whole kind of theme of this, or the continued message of this, is that it's not bad, but some part of me is just having trouble committing time to reading. I really need to. There's too much screen time. I need to flip back to books. I just need to dedicate more time to reading it. And also, I really like that Bret Hart book. So every time I sit down, I'm like, I need to read a few pages of this, then read Bret Hart. And then I go, I'm just going to read Bret Hart tonight. So I guess I haven't read any bad books this year. It's just on me to kind of get that passion back, get that drive, and just stick with it. Well, anyway, that was all the books I've read and I am reading this year. Hopefully I can get back again and do all the books I read in quarter 2 of 2025. Please let me know what books you read or what books you're reading. If you happen to read any of these books, let me know what your thoughts are. And always hit that like and subscribe button, hit that bell. We're at 151 subscribers, which is really great. Really thankful for everybody who subscribed and is watching us on this journey with me. And yeah, have a nice day or night, whatever you're doing. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.